Welcome to Breaking News to Trading Moves. Our goal here is to take a market announcement and quickly give you the critical knowledge you need: what happened, who benefits, and who faces headwinds. Today, we are looking at a recent executive action. It's centered on vehicle production credits and also new tariffs on imported trucks and their components.
Yeah, and this announcement, it immediately changes the cost structure for vehicle manufacturing and also the purchasing costs for heavy-duty equipment right here in the U.S.
Yeah.
We're talking direct financial impacts, either through, expanded credits for domestic production or these new tariffs hitting imports.
Okay, so for you, the listener, the key is understanding the mechanics of the policy. How do these percentages actually map onto specific company results? Let's examine the details, maybe starting with the production side first.
Sure. So the White House rolled out two main components here. First, the credits. It's an expanded credit, 3.75% of the MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested retail price, and that's for U.S. assembled vehicles, U.S.-built engines, and also U.S.-built medium and heavy trucks.
3.75% of MSRP. That sounds like it could be quite a bit, especially on expensive equipment like a big truck.
Exactly. It scales directly with the price. And importantly, this isn't just a short-term thing. It's extended and broadened for 5 years, running all the way through 2030.
Okay, 5 years. That gives manufacturers some certainty for planning.
It does. And, well, if that's the carrot, the stick comes with new tariffs.
Ah, right, the tariffs.
Yeah, these are effective November 1st. We're looking at a 25% tariff on imported Class 3 through 8 trucks, and importantly, their parts too. And there's also a 10% tariff on imported buses, which sometimes get overlooked.
Okay, hold on. Can you just quickly clarify Class 3 through 8? That covers a lot of ground, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah. Class 3, that starts around 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating, so think heavier pickups, utility vans, but it goes all the way up through Class 8. Those are the big rigs, the semi-tractors hauling freight. So yeah, slapping a 25% tariff across that whole range, it really impacts a huge slice of the commercial vehicle market.
Okay, so the simple takeaway seems to be domestic producers get cost relief and a pricing advantage, while importers and maybe the big fleet buyers are going to see higher costs.
That's the basic idea, a push towards domestic production.
So let's start with the company's position to gain the most. These would be the U.S. heavy-duty truck OEMs, right? They benefit from the tariffs and the production credits.
Absolutely. And first up has to be Paccar, ticker PCAR. They make Peterbilt and Kenworth trucks, mostly built in the U.S. So they're immediately advantaged on pricing compared to imported trucks now facing that tariff.
Right. That 25% difference is substantial.
It is. And then you also have Oshkosh, ticker OSK. They're more in specialty trucks, defense platforms. Being a domestic manufacturer, they gain relative price power against imports because of these new barriers.
Okay, so for Paccar, the 25% tariff wall seems like the main benefit against competitors. How much does that extra 3.75% credit really move the needle for them since they're already building here? Is it just like extra profit?
Well, it's more than just icing on the cake. Yes, the tariff is a huge competitive shield, but that credit, that 3.75% of MSRP, that goes straight to the margin. And in an industry often working on pretty tight margins, that makes a real difference. Plus, the fact it runs through 2030 gives them that long-term certainty. It makes investing in U.S. facilities, dealing with higher domestic costs, much more attractive because that credit is locked in. It helps justify keeping things onshore.
Got it. Okay. And that same logic, the credit helping offset costs, that must apply to the big Detroit automakers too, the ones with big U.S. assembly plants.
Exactly. That 3.75% MSRP credit acts as a pretty powerful offset for their existing U.S. investments.
Like Ford, ticker F, I think their CEO mentioned this order helps make parts more affordable for U.S. production.
Yeah, they did. And General Motors, ticker GM, is right there too. GM has talked before about, multi-billion-dollar tariff costs they faced. So for them, these expanded credits are a welcome tailwind, helping to offset some of those other pressures on their operations.
And we need to look down the supply chain as well, right? Because the credits also apply to U.S.-made engines.
That's key. It drives demand for more domestic content further down the line. So think Cummins, ticker CMI. Huge U.S. engine manufacturing base. They benefit directly from these sustained credits. And likewise, Borg-Warner, ticker BWA. Their U.S. plants, their local content mix, it all becomes more valuable as the OEMs try to maximize that credit by sourcing more domestically.
Okay, so the winners seem clear. Companies building trucks, engines, parts here in the U.S. benefit from the tariffs making imports pricier and the credits lowering their own production costs. Now let's flip it. who bears the cost? Who's on the losing end of this?
Well, the most immediate pressure is on the trucking carriers and the fleet operators, the companies actually buying and using these trucks. Imported equipment just got 25% more expensive overnight, basically.
Yeah.
That's a direct hit to their budgets.
And there's a risk domestic makers might raise prices too, right? Since they have less import competition now.
That's definitely a risk. They might pocket some of that 3.75% credit or just take advantage of the tariff protection.
Yeah.
Either way, it puts a strain on the carrier's capital expenditure, their CapEx. It might slow down how often they replace their trucks.
So companies like Knight-Swift, ticker KNX, and Schneider National, SNDR, are listed as potentially facing headwinds here.
Correct. They have to deal with higher equipment costs, which squeezes their margins, unless they can pass it all on through higher freight rates, which isn't always easy.
And you mentioned parts earlier. The tariffs on imported parts also hit retailers and distributors. That seems a bit less obvious.
It does, but think about it. Well, the OEMs get a credit for producing domestically. Companies that just sell parts, many of which are imported, now have to pay that 25% tariff on those imported goods.
Okay, so companies like AutoZone, ticker AZO.
Exactly. And Advance Auto Parts, ticker AAP, the tariffs raise their input costs, their cost of goods sold. And they don't get the production credit because they aren't manufacturers, so it puts pressure on their pricing and profitability.
Right, got it. And finally, what about foreign automakers? Those with U.S. listings, ADRs, who might import vehicles or rely on imported parts.
Yeah, they definitely feel the friction, too, even if their main focus isn't heavy trucks. Take Toyota Motor, ticker TMAIM. They don't sell many heavy-duty trucks here, but they face issues with imported parts tariffs, and they do have some exposure in the bus market.
So any global component they bring in could now cost more.
Precisely. And it's similar for Honda, ticker HMC. They face those same sensitivities on imported parts and buses. Even with their big U.S. car factories, they'll need to look closely at their supply chains to see where these new tariffs might bite into their costs.
So zooming out, the policy clearly favors domestic U.S. manufacturers and suppliers, Paccar, Ford, Cummins, folks like that. And at the same time, it increases costs for fleet operators who buy the trucks and anyone importing vehicles or components.
That's a good summary of the immediate effects.
Okay, so to quickly recap the immediate trading angles that were mentioned in the material we looked at, a long bias was suggested for Paccar, PCAR, Oshkosh, OSK, and Cummins, CMI. That's based on gaining domestic share and margin support from the credits.
Right. And there was a specific pair trade idea mentioned, too. Long Ford, F, playing that OEM credit tailwind against a short on a basket of trucking carriers like Knight-Swift, KNX, and Schneider National, SNDR, playing the headwind from higher fleet costs.
And maybe something to keep an eye on, sort of a watch list item, is the situation for companies like Toyota and Honda. Their performance might now really depend on how quickly they can adjust sourcing, maybe increase U.S. localization to get around some of these new tariff impacts.
Yeah, the math for importing parts just got trickier for them. They'll need a strategy adjustment. And of course, please remember, this discussion is purely the opinion of the author of the material we reviewed. This is not financial advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any security.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for this look at the market action. We hope this knowledge proves useful for your next step.